Welcome, welcome, welcome. And to all who are watching, enter if you dare. There is a list. It began quietly, a name here, a name there, scattered across different states, different institutions, different fields of science. But as 2025 turned to 2026, investigators, journalists, and members of Congress began to notice something that made very little sense. The scientists were disappearing. Not one, not two, 11 confirmed cases. Researchers tied to NASA, to the Department of Energy, to classified aerospace programs at Blue Origin, SpaceX, and the nation's most sensitive nuclear laboratories. Dead, or vanished, or both, and no one could explain it. Grillmair was 67 years old. He had spent decades studying the stars, an astrophysicist at Caltech who worked alongside NASA, renowned for his research on exoplanets and stellar streams at the edge of our galaxy. On a quiet February morning in 2026, he was shot and killed at his home outside Los Angeles. A neighbor found him. There was no robbery, there was no apparent motive, there was no suspect. He was the fourth. Nuno Loureiro was 47 years old. He led MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, one of the most advanced nuclear fusion research programs on the planet. In December 2025, he was fatally shot at his home near Boston. Again, no robbery, no known suspect, no explanation offered to the public. Reza was a materials scientist and aerospace engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. She disappeared while hiking in California on June 22, 2025. Search teams combed the trails. Nothing was found. She remains missing. Jason Thomas, a researcher with connections to NASA microgravity biology studies, vanished from Massachusetts in December 2025. His body was found in March 2026. The circumstances of his death have not been publicly disclosed. Then came the general. William Neal McCasland was a retired United States Air Force Major General. He had a distinguished career touching some of the most classified programs in American aerospace history. In February 2026, he disappeared from his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, taking with him a single .38 caliber revolver. He has not been found. By April 2026, the pattern was undeniable. 11 scientists and defense officials, dead, missing, or unaccounted for, across a span of roughly 18 months. The cases spanned California, Massachusetts, New Mexico, and beyond. The victims shared no employer, no project, no supervisor. What they shared was proximity to the most sensitive scientific work in the United States government. Congress took notice. Representative James Comer and Representative Eric Burleson sent letters to the FBI Director, the NASA Administrator, the Secretary of Energy, and the Secretary of Defense. They demanded answers. They used the phrase that no congressional letter should ever need to use. Something sinister could be happening. The FBI opened an inquiry. The White House was briefed. And across the scientific community, a quiet, unfamiliar fear began to spread. Because here is what made this different from a conspiracy theory. The deaths were real, the victims were real, the credentials were real. MIT, Caltech, JPL, NASA, Blue Origin, SpaceX. These were not fringe researchers chasing shadows. These were the people who built the rockets, designed the reactors, and mapped the stars. And they were dying in the dark. Official explanations remained sparse. Some cases were labeled accidents. Some remained open investigations. The White House declined to provide public comment. The FBI acknowledged an inquiry and said nothing more. Online, theories multiplied. Foreign intelligence, corporate espionage, something stranger, something classified, something that the scientists themselves may have known was coming. One detail, quietly noted by investigators but never fully explained. Martin Aidan Schaffer, a 49-year-old man who had spent years researching UFO-related government programs, died in New Mexico police custody in March 2026. The circumstances of his final days remain unexplained months later. Whether his death is connected to the others, no authority has confirmed. No authority has denied it. What remains is this: a list of brilliant minds, each working at the edge of what humanity knows about space, about energy, about the fundamental forces of the universe. And a silence, from Washington, from the agencies, from the institutions that employed them, that grows louder with each passing week. Perhaps there is no connection. Perhaps 11 deaths and disappearances across 18 months among a relatively small population of senior aerospace and nuclear scientists is a terrible coincidence. Perhaps. But the archivist keeps records, and the record shows something is happening to the people who know the most. Whether it is murder, whether it is espionage, whether it is something this country is not yet prepared to name, the archive does not close until there are answers. If this case disturbs you, if you believe these names deserve to be spoken, then subscribe to Blood-Curdling Chronicles. Leave a comment with any name from this list you want remembered. New cases arrive every Monday and Thursday. The archive is never closed.
If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to be notified of all of our future videos.